come up there, Emma. There are some people because it's got some numbers. Hello, Rosie. Hi, Joe. This is the strangest part of when you start the live. Hi, Dawn. I don't know if anybody saw it earlier on. I accidentally started filming when I wasn't intending to because I was fiddling around with the
oh, Mum, I can't
iPad.
share it because I'm pretty sure you're viewing it as a guest.
Oh, never mind. Don't worry then. Hi, Steve-O. Hi, Anne. I've got my iPad a little bit lower, so I'm finding it a bit easier to read it today. Hi, Sue. Hi. Oh, I've said hi, Rosie. Hi, Rosie. Hi, Karen. Hi, Julia. Hi, Sue. Different Sue.
I can't see any comments.
Hi, Julianne. Yeah, I was fiddling about with the iPad because I discovered that I was able to type what do you call it? A description. And as I was typing the description, then trying to fiddle it back into the holder, I accidentally pressed the camera button. Hi, Beatrice. So I quickly deleted that one. I think it was just me going, no! Hi, Louise, you're not late. I haven't done anything yet. Hi, Ali. I've put out, I did have my distress crayons in a standy up pot, and then I realised that would be really hard to see them. So I've popped them into one of these metal trays. I have sets 1, 2 and 3, Steve-O. So I can read the beginning of your comments and then it sort of goes underneath the holder.
I can't see any comments.
Oh, Emma can't see any comments. You might have to go out of it then, Emma, and then come back in a different...
Go to your home.
Oh, I'm not sure what you have to do, Emma, to be able to do that. It's on the laptop. It's changed to the new layout of Facebook, so now we can't work out how to. So if you come and stand there, Emma, and talk to people while I
don't like talking to people.
While I try and work out how to do this. Well, that says there 20 comments. So
I know, but I can't see it come up.
Maybe you must click on to expand it.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's coming up now.
Up at the
Obviously,
side.
it'll come up when you do it. It wasn't coming up whilst I was
There we go. Technology. Hi, Jane.
It's just rubbish with technology.
I have done some preparation for this evening. I'm going to start out just by saying that I do have sets 1, 2 and 3 of the Distress crayons here. They are the brights, the neutrals and the earth tones. I think they were the first 3 sets that came out. And I'm not an expert on these tools, so really this is more an exploration with me also experimenting and getting to use these more, because I know a lot of people bought these when they came out. I think I was looking on the videos, and I think it was about 4 years ago these came out, and I, like many other people, bought them and used them a little bit and then put them aside, and then something different comes out, so you use that instead. But I mean, they're not cheap, are they, these sorts of products? And they are really useful. They have so many uses. I think the fact they're called a distress crayon is sort of a bit misleading, because when you think of a crayon, you're thinking of a wax, sort of, you know, like a Crayola type crayon that you would use with children mostly. They're not a wax at all. They're actually I had it in my head before, now I've forgotten what it is. A water reactive pigment in a stick. So they, for anybody who hasn't seen them before, They have like a bit at the end, and you twist them up. So a little bit like a lipstick. They're very sort of creamy, they're not waxy at all, and they react with water. So what I've done is I have prepared some different surfaces, because for me, I didn't really know how they react on all these different things. So I've got a stamping card, watercolour card, stamping card with some stenciling embossed. I embossed the stencil through the die cutting machine. I've got a piece of stamping card where I have added some washi tape, a piece of tissue that I've stamped on, and then that's been sealed with the Distress Collage medium. I have got, this is self-adhesive canvas, which is attached to a piece of card. I have got a piece of canvas that is from my Dina Wakley journal, and a piece of burlap or hessian that is from the Dina Wakley journal. I thought I'd have a little try of it on some MDF. So on this side it's just the raw MDF, and on that side I've painted it with some white gesso. And then I wondered what they'd be like on black. So I've got black card, and this, oh, don't know what that was on it, is a piece of coated cardstock. So it's got quite a shiny, smooth surface. But what I've done on each of them is I have coated half of it with transparent gesso, and then left half of it with the actual raw surface, because one of the things I do know about Distress crayons is that they do act differently on gesso to the actual uncoated cardstock. So on every one of them, the right hand side has got gesso on, and the left hand side is the raw surface of the card or the fabric. So I'm going to go with some nice bright colours. So I think I'm going to go warm sunny colour. I'm going to move it because I can just see that's got a bit of a shadow, so I'm going to move that over there just so it's not shadowing anything. And just to start off by showing you how they react differently on a sort of a raw surface and then a gessoed surface. So like I said, they're a water reactive pigment in a stick form, and so they are smudgeable with your finger. To start, so if I draw a little dot on that side and a dot on that side, you will see that I can get a bit of a smudge on this side of the card where there's no gesso. On the side with the gesso, I get a better smudge. So it with the gesso helps it move a lot better, but they are also able to be used with water. So if I take a dot on that side, dot on that side, you can see it's a lot more when you go on that side. I won't use that one because that's, let's try this one. So again, if you go, you get more movement with them, with the water. Just squish some water out there. But on the side with the gesso, you get a lot more movement. So my one tip for using distress crayons is if you want them to move, then it is better to work on a gessoed surface than an ungessoed surface. And this is just a stamping card, and we'll see if they work differently on the watercolour card. But the other thing about them is that although they're water reactive, if you just spray them with water and you don't touch them, they don't really move so much. If you have any other sort of water reactive pigments like a gelato or something like that, then if you spray it, it immediately starts to move. Whereas these do stay in place more. Obviously, as soon as you get a brush and you touch it, it's going to move. But you could leave it to sort of sit there. But you see as well, on the gessoed side, you do seem to get a much more vibrant colour as well. So let's get some tissue now. Actually, before I go on to the watercolour, I will do something else with the gessoed card when I remember where I put it. See, this is when I said to you, Emma, remind me, I put them in that basket up there. Yes. So, this is a totally gessoed tag. And because you can, obviously they react with water, but they also move on gesso. If you were to then, I'm just going to put some colour over the whole tag in patches. So let's put some yellow. I should tell you what these colours are, shouldn't I? So this one is mustard seed. This one is spiced marmalade. And this one is picked raspberry. And then if I'm going to get a bigger brush. Get a proper brush. Just wet that. So I can then, oh, that one. Probably shouldn't have muddied the colours so much, should I really? But just want to get, I should have just put one colour down really. But what I really wanted to show was, because they are water reactive, like our distress inks and things like that. Last week when I did the journal page, I did ghosting, and you can do the same with these because they react with water. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a spritz. Oop. And then you can get the same sort of ghosting effect as you do when you use distress inks. It's really weird because I can't see that on the screen at all because it's right behind the things. So you can have the same sort of effects that you get when you use distress inks and things like that. Heidi, you haven't used yours. Now, I can't be cross with anybody because I have to say they are one of those products that do sit in my stash, and I forget about them really. But you can get some really nice effects with that. So let's just see if it does have any difference being watercolour card, because obviously watercolour card is made for things to move about. Let's do some different colours so that you don't keep seeing the same colours all the time. So what should we have? Let's have, oh, one of my favourite, Twisted Citron. That's going to end up being the same if I do that. Twisted Citron and Vintage Photo.
Mum, I'm going to see if I can watch it on my phone because the comments just aren't coming up on my phone.
Okay. A bit of Twisted Citron. And so a bit of Vintage Photo, one of my favourite colours. And let's first of all do it. So on watercolour card, that's the uncoated side. So that's the side I haven't got the gesso on. Immediately you can actually see that on a proper card it does spread a lot easier. So then again on the gessoed side you get a little bit more of a smushy, a smudginess, but I think it just seems to make the colours a little bit more brighter. And now that's got orange on it, so I won't use that one. So now I'm going to have colour on all my brushes. Let's get some water going in there. So with the Vintage Photo, yeah, see on watercolour you definitely get a better better spread. The thing that you do find though, if you don't coat with the oh look, it says Emma Brown is watching. Don't coat with gesso, you do tend to get this sort of where the pigment's first gone in, whereas with the gesso side it moves that whole section. But definitely I would say on watercolor card you definitely get a better spread of your distress crayons. You glad you got yours out, Stephen? I hope so. I hope that this does encourage people to get out some of their stash that they don't always use. Now, I did do as well some embossing with my stencil. Now, there was a discussion on Crafting Together with All Brands about embossing with your stencils through an embossing machine. The only machine I now have is a Big Shot, and you can get a special mat and plate. Yes, I'm sorry.
Does the gesso stop for paper grabbing for pigment?
No, actually, the gesso just sort of helps it to move. Really, it doesn't stop it grabbing into it at all. It's sort of this. Just has the same. It's the same, but it's just helps it to move more. It doesn't sort of grab it. In fact, it has the opposite effect, if you know what I mean. On this side where it's not got the gesso, it's grabbing it quicker than on the side. The gesso just gives it a little bit more time to be able to move, but it doesn't stop it staying on the paper. It doesn't make it glossy. It just, in fact, if anything, it's actually like a rough. It gives it a key. So yeah. So there is a mat, and it's called the Emboss and Transfer set, I think. But Rosie did do some experimenting with some packaging and some cardboard, and she managed to get her stencils to emboss through her Big Shot. So you can sort of mess around with layers and things, and if you've got something spongy, I just like to have the actual silicone mat thing because I think it just works every time for me then. So this is the Fernando in the big Inkaballs. So I'm going to just let's have a green because it's leaves. So what you can do is if you just lightly go over, so you're not pressing too hard, keeping my stick straight upwards, and you can get this sort of a similar to a gilding wax type effect. And then if you want to, you could just gently rub it out.
Is one side gessoed on that one as well?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
You can see there's a definitely different, you get a different colour effect from, so this is the ungessoed side and this is the gessoed side. So on this one, that's sort of giving it a softer look actually, hasn't it? But you can sort of get that really textured effect as well with the embossing from the stencil. So that's another way you can use them. On this one, I haven't actually used gesso. What I have used is the, oh, it's a bit dirty, is the, where is it? I had it on the table. There it is. The Distress Collage Medium. So I have stuck a strip of washi tape. This is the Total Eclipse. And then I stamped the Big Butterfly art stamp. If I can find it. Where is it? That one. Onto tissue paper with archival ink, and then I've stuck that over the top. So let's do, because that's now got that distress collage medium, I'm going to do a little bit of, I'm going to do them one at a time this time. I'm not going to muddle them up. I'm going to try to do some different, so we get some colour variation. Now the whole thing has got the, do you know what, if I do, oh, dirty finger. I prefer it with the brush. There we go. So we get some colour. Get some colour on here. Let's get some yellow, because then if the yellow and the pink mix, we'll get a nice. So you see, with the distress collage medium as well, it gives you that sort of movability as well as the gesso does.
You said you hadn't gessoed that, didn't you?
This isn't gesso, this is distress collage medium.
Okay, I wasn't properly listening.
There we go. But because you've got that movability and that water reactiveness, what you can then do is, if you've got something like the butterfly and you decide you don't want that to have that colour on it, you can get your bit of kitchen towel or tissue and then wipe back the colour on the butterfly. Yes, Emma?
You have to seal them.
I don't know is the honest answer. I think if it was in my journal, because Distress Crayons, when I was watching Tim Holtz, he does say that they do dry. If it was in something like a journal, I would probably not worry. If it was something where there was likelihood that maybe something was going to get spilt on it and people were going to handle it, then possibly, yes, I would maybe seal it then. But you'd have to probably be quite careful, because obviously as soon as you start moving it around with a brush, it's going to move it. Yes, Emma?
Do the colours blend better on the collage medium?
They certainly seem to move better on the collage medium, probably because it's more of a slippery surface maybe, although that's matte, so I hadn't added water onto that one though, had I? So, I mean, they certainly seemed more softer on that collage medium, I would say. But using the collage medium, it gives you that ability. I mean, I don't know if you would still be able to, on the gesso, to do the same thing with the lifting. So if I wanted to, say, lift out more colour, I think you could still do the same, but I think the collage medium, so any sort of matte medium, gel medium, would give that thing. Yeah, actually, yes, Joe, that's a good point. The microglaze, which I have got. Distress glaze. So if I give that a blast and I put some on, then we'll be able to see if that actually seals it. Right, close your ears if you've got earphones in. I'm going to put it onto high. Close your ears. I don't think you can close your ears, but you know what I mean. So I'm actually going to have to just get a sponge. It's a good job I'm right next to all my supplies, isn't it? Because I just have to reach across. Right, let's find, I think that looks like a cleanish sponge. Right, so Distress Glaze.
Steve
Oh look,
said,
I had one in there.
You heat set the colours, then water won't reactivate it.
Oh, shall we see? See, my worry is always that it's because if I move it, it might. Oh, mine's moving. That might be because I haven't dried it enough. But let's see if you put the I can't say distress tonight. It keeps coming out as distress. Let's give it a bit of a. So this is the Distress Microglaze. So if I just do it a bit gently. Oh, actually it doesn't move it too much, so fine. It's not coming off onto my thing. Because Jo, you're quite right actually. This is, do you know, I always forget I've got this. This is actually made to seal your water reactive products so that you can do things on top and stuff. I don't know how much you should, I don't think you need to put tons on. That's quite a thin layer. Do I need to heat set it? Oh, about work with, oh, it says with finger. Buff away excess with a dry paper towel. So this is crafting on the hoof. And let's get the paper towel. Let's buff away any excess. Let's chuck a little bit of it. You probably would be better off leaving it to dry a bit better. She gives it a nice soft sort of look, doesn't it? Let's clean the brush and then, yes, that seals it. That's not moving now with the water. So yes, so if you did want to seal it, something like the Distress Glaze, I'll show you at the bottom there when I'm doing, it's sort of the water's sitting on the top. Well, I don't know if that must, it probably needed sealing better than what I did, but that certainly seems to have a better effect. Right. So I'm just reading comments then. So that's another thing. So I like that idea that you can sort of put the colour all over and then just wipe back bits where you might want the whiteness to come through again a bit more. So that's that one. I did wonder whether they would work on MDF, because MDF is a porous surface. Can you still stamp on top of the glaze? I think you can.
You beat me to it.
So yes, I'm reading my comments now because it's lower down. I would use an archival because archivals are good for stamping onto any sort of surface. So let me get, what shall I use? Use something like one of these texture borders, and I'm going to use my favourite one, which is this one. So let's get, yes Emma?
If the crayons stay wet, can you heat emboss with them?
We can try that. We will try that. I have got some embossing stuff here. Oh, I could get the glaze, the embossing glaze. Yes.
What one do you want?
Oh. Shall we let people choose? I have got, for embossing glazes, I've got weathered wood, I have got antique linen, and I've got vintage photo. Which one would you like me to try?
Well, can't get the weathered wood. There we go.
So let's have a go. So let's go. I think that's my terrible stamping.
Vintage photo. Jane says. Which one's vintage photo?
Vintage photo.
That's a dark brown, isn't it?
Yes, it's the dark
The
brown.
dark one. Biggie.
It does make it a little bit slippy.
But then Tina said antique linen.
Oh, see, they're both good. Could use them both.
I like the antique linen. That's my favourite. We've used it on.
So that's stamped with our cover. If I give that a little dry and then see if it wipes. It shouldn't wipe off because it should be able to stir now. I mean, I wouldn't use something like a Distress on anything that is potentially slippy, but I mean, the glaze is made for working with Distress products, so what I would mostly say is just have a go, really, because if you're using, this is why I'm doing tags as well. That has wiped off slightly, but I think that's because I haven't dried it properly. So, yep, that's that's stamped over the glaze. It has wiped off very, very slightly, but I think that's probably because it wasn't quite dry enough. But yeah, so that's... I'll have a finished tag by the end of this, look. So that was, and what was it? Was putting the embossing onto the wet. Oh, so that's dry now.
The crayons stay wet.
If the crayons stay wet. I'll tell you how we'll try that, because one of the other things you can do with your crayons, and now I haven't actually tried this before. I need to find a tag that I can. There we go. Is you can stamp with the crayons. And if we stamp with the crayon and then while it's wet, we'll see if we can emboss over the top. So let me find. Now I'm going to use a quite solid stamp. So I've got a tree, perennial tree. Ooh. Now this is, again, this has been gessoed, this one. So we can stamp it there. So what did we say? And oh, either would go nice with this one, wouldn't they?
You got vintage photo or antique linen.
So if we use, I've got vintage photo crayon and I have got antique linen crayon. So, oh, let's put it on a block. That might help. Do you know what? If I try and be organised and put it all to the side, I forget where I put it. Yeah. So let's pop that on there. Should we do, let's do vintage photo, because that was the first one that got asked for, wasn't it? So I wouldn't probably do this with a stamp that was quite detailed, obviously, because this is going to give you a very what's the word, sort of an impressionistic type, because
what does
obviously
that mean?
Like a blurry. I would say blurry. Let's. Oh, do you think I need more water? No, that's probably enough. Let's try that much water. We can always put it back on, can't we? So you spritz it, and then let's see if this works. Rosie, why are you saying didn't mean to be awkward? Because
she just likes being curious.
Oh, no, that's the whole point. That's what I want. It's really much more fun. There we go. So you get a really nice sort of watercolory effect. Now let's throw some embossing glaze on it and see if we can. That may have dried too quick. I'm not sure. Oh, no.
Done quite well.
Can I just say this mat that I've got underneath, this clear one, it's not the Be Crafty one. So you don't need to worry if I'm heating on it, because it is actually a silicone mat. That's why I don't put the Be Crafty one down, because I forget. So unless I'm doing blending off of it, I take it away, because otherwise I keep heating on it and I'm going to damage it. So here we go. Let's see. It's right. High heat. I don't know if much actually stuck to it. There's some on there, but not a lot. I would say it doesn't really. There is some on there. I have actually. It probably doesn't help that it's vintage photo on vintage photo, does it? But it didn't. It has stuck, but you can't really see it. So if I do that twinkly thing, I don't know if that. I don't know. Yeah, can you see that there's a shine on it? Can you see it, Emma? There's a shine. I can't tell if there's a shine. But it has stuck to it. Probably would be better if you did it with a different colour on top. So maybe if I try it with, if I stamp with a lighter colour and then do the darker colour on the top. Let's do the back of the tag because I'm going to run out of tags. Right, so to clean your stamp, all you would need to do is just spritz it. I'm going to get a cloth this time and just give it a wipe. Because it's water reactive, it's not going to damage your stamp at all. So let's try it with antique linen, maybe on the actual stamp, and then go over it with the vintage photo embossing glaze. Sorry, I couldn't think of my words. There. You could probably put more than one colour on there, because obviously if you get another colour on top of your crayon, you can just wipe it off, it's not a problem. So hopefully this isn't too light now.
You might want to be quicker this time as well.
Oh yes, let's have it ready. Oh, that was a weird colour. Oh, it has stuck, but you have to be really quick, basically. But if you do emboss, then you would be able to then create a background around that wouldn't then go on to that part, wouldn't you? Oh, so that's got quite a nice wintry look where it's sort of come through. So you could then get, this one is Mermaid Lagoon. So what you could do is, if I do a bit, you could take a bit of that to the side, put it onto your map, spritz that with water. So you can use them a bit like a you probably need more water than that. Like a watercolour.
And the embossing acts as a resist.
And then the embossing will be resisting it. And you can just use them, yeah, just like a watercolour as well. So you don't have to always be blending them straight onto your project. You can blend them off the page as well.
I did that with them earlier.
And there we go. So then you get a sort of blend back, and because you've got your embossing on there, it's resisting it as well. So another way you could use that. So let's move that out of the way. I was going to have a look, see if they would go on to MDF. Sorry. Hope everybody's had a nice day today, done something fun. Oh, we had a nice fun afternoon. Well, I say we, people who were in the group did. We were drawing feathers. Let's get a brighter colour. Let's get a green and see. So this side is the raw MDF, but because it's a porous surface, it should. Oh, sorry, Emma's got a hand up. Sorry. Yeah.
Did you say that was gesso card or ungessoed?
That side actually isn't gessoed. I just realised that side was gessoed. That's ungessoed. So that, if you mix your stuff off, but that is watercolour card, so that was probably a better. Oh, put a bit of green at the bottom there. A better surface for blending without gesso. So let's get a bit of green on here. Let's see. That goes on quite nicely onto MDF actually. So that's the ungessoed surface. Let's see what happens on the gessoed side.
It's a lot brighter.
Yeah, you always get bright because it's got white under. I mean, it's white, so it's going to be brighter. So it's probably about equal in how it moves. I think because it's a more sort of slippery sort of surface. But I thought that should probably work because, I mean, obviously they're not going to be really for things like glass or anything that's non-porous where it's just going to slide straight back off. But because the MDF is a porous surface, you should be able to use them on there. So there we go, a nice green flower. So what was, I just had another thought and the thought has gone out. That was it. Black. Black, because I know that a lot of the time we do things onto white and things do work really well on white card, but it's always interesting to see how things react on black as well. And so I thought, well, let's try we'll try quite a light colour because that should work. I have got white as well, so we could try white. And let's try a bit of a darker colour. We've got, what's this one? Hickory Smoke. So see if it makes a difference. Let's first of all, so white on the, should be cleaning my fingers off, shouldn't I? Let's try white on the non, ooh, obviously I've used that in the past, haven't I? White on that side, white on that side. And let's do yellow, yellow. Well, straight away again you can see that on the gessoed side it's already brighter. And let's try, yeah, I mean the darker colours obviously are going to, but even so,
the yellow.
Yes, the yellow does look more green on the black. Oh, that wasn't very good, was it? Let's use a clean tool. So once you start to blend them out, yeah, the white's still there, but so you can get more colour on the on the gessoed surface. That's the yellow. This is because it's acting as a key, so it's sort of keeping the colour more vibrant. Let's use a clean finger. The darker colours, obviously, they just go into the card. But you can still, I can still see them, the grey. So I can use that. So yeah, they are, because I suppose they've got quite a lot of pigment in. Especially the yellow. I mean, you can see the difference in the yellow on the gesso to on the non-gesso. That's just a clear gesso. So yeah. So I just thought it would be interesting to see them on black because it's something we don't always sort of think about doing. Let's go back to this one because one of the things that I do with mine quite a lot, and if I've got black soot, is I do like them for edging because you get this sort of nice flat.
I've got a question.
Yes, Emma.
Have you got glossy / photo paper to try?
Yes, I have actually. Yeah. So I'll get that out next. So let's get, so you can give that a little edge, but then because you've got that, they're just building up over here. Then you can sort of give it a little bit of a blend in as well, so you can get those nice sort of blended edges with them. And I do that in my journal quite often with the distress crayons because they do go round the edge so nicely. Like you can just that's a technical term. So there we go. So so you can get a bit of a in there. So the glossy paper, I have got some because, oh, I haven't done the canvas either, have I? The canvas is quite interesting. I have to say, I did try the burlap earlier, and to be honest, I wouldn't bother. It wasn't really a exciting thing. Now this is the glossy. You can probably see. Now that side is still glossy. That side has got some clear gesso on it. So let's use that colour's here. What's this one? Rusty Hinge. Oh, and you know what? That is a colour. I have not got that in Distress Ink or Distress Oxide or anything, I don't think. Distress. That's the only thing I've got Rusty Hinge in. So let's have a go with Rusty Hinge. Now I suspect it will move quite well on the glossy paper. And again, just the difference in the intensity just by having some gesso on there. I'm getting really dirty. I need to find a clean finger. Let's just give my fingers a little wipe. Right, so let's try with. Yep, see, it moves a lot better on the glossy surface. And actually, I mean, it depends how you want to use them. I mean, if you want it to blend out nice and gently, then actually not to gesso on the glossy surface is the better option of those two. Let me just wipe that dirty mark off there. So I'm going to use Rusty Hinge again because I don't ever use it. So now I want to see what it's like. It's more of an orange. I always think of it that it's brown, but it's more of an orange, isn't it, than a brown. Oh, I think, yeah, it's in the, I'm pretty sure it's in the one with all the earth tones. So like with the vintage photo and the white and the black. I think the white and the black. It was all, yeah, the vintage photo. What's another one? That walnut stain, Rusty Hinge, white, black, and antique linen, I think. I couldn't tell you what number set it was. I think, I want to say it's set 2. It really blends out with water onto that card as well. And that's without the gesso. In fact, with the glossy paper, I would say the non-gessoed side, although it's quite nice with the water on the gesso, that gives you quite a nice intense, but still blendable sort of effect. Let's see if we can blend some together. So this is the walnut stain. Let's put a bit of that on there and blend them together. Oh, yeah, so you get a much lighter sort of effect with the glossy surface because it's obviously it's moving a lot. So it's a bit acting like when you have the so get some water going in that, the collage medium, where it's giving you that more of a slippery surface. So let's see if we can blend them together. I probably didn't pick the two best things to blend together, did I? So that's on the glossy card. Look, it just gives it a totally different sort of colour, doesn't it, when you use gesso or not gesso. So I was going to show you I've got 2 types of canvas. This is the canvas that's in the Dina Wakley journal, because what I did was I took a whole signature, so a whole bunch of the papers out of my big Dina Wakley journal, because it was getting so full as I was using it that I wouldn't have had enough space for it. So I took a whole signature out, and this is a tag cut from a piece of that. This is a Ranger product. I don't know if Crafty sell it. It's self-adhesive canvas, and what I did was I attached it to some card and then cut it out. So, and I've added some gesso on that side again, just so you can compare the difference. But I thought it'd be interesting just to see how, because I know lots of people doing things like decorating bags and things, and whether it's something that you would be able to use with a canvas product. So let's try it on the normal canvas first. So I've got a feeling it's probably not going to be very easy to blend it out. Let's just do lots of bits. Let's have a bit of peacock feathers, a bit of twisted citron, and let's have a bit of yellow, a bit of mustard seed. Let's see. So like I said, I don't think it's going to be very easy to actually blend it by smudging it on here, because obviously, because it's a material, it's going to, a fabric I should say, you can smudge it a little bit, but it's not, so I've done it again. Even on the gessoed side, it's grabbed the pigment straight away. But what I'm thinking is that if you spritz it, then you should, oops, a bit of black up there, you get more movement and you can colour the fabric, so it's now soaking into the fibres of the canvas. And are you looking at the comments, or are you?
Not really.
And once again, I actually think this, for this sort of material, it's working better without the gesso.
So is that one half gesso done?
Yeah, that's gesso on that side, no gesso on that side, and it's actually moving better, because I suppose in a way the gesso is acting as a bit of a seal, isn't it, to the fabric, whereas on that side it's actually sinking into it, so it's actually easier to move on the non-gessoed side. So when you're thinking about like putting on gesso underneath sort of these water reactive products, what you sort of also need to be thinking about, what's the material I'm putting it onto? Is it going to work better with gesso or not? And the only way really to find out is by just taking a little piece and trying it out. I'm just going to see if I can get some of that onto there. So I quite like that. Quite like that on the fabric. So I don't know if it beats. So this is onto a piece of card. So I don't know if this. I'm going to see if I spray it first and then put the crayon on, whether that makes a difference.
Heidi said I find if you soak it first it moves very well.
Aha, see? It's because, Heidi, I don't tend to use fabric a lot at all, because I just don't. I think because I don't really sew, I just always think of fabric as a sewing thing, and it's only recently that I've started sort of feeling that I want to use it to actually stamp onto and maybe make some things out of. So again, this was, again, it was half and half with the, now this has got card under it, so I probably shouldn't have maybe spritzed it that much. So. Now this acts differently. I suppose because it's a self-adhesive canvas, it's got a different backing to it. So whereas that, it's soaking through, this is, although it is still going in nicely, still like it. And it's not really any difference between the gessoed side and the non-gessoed side, to be honest with that. But. So there you go. You can use them with your fabrics as well. Oh, no rusty hinge in set.
In set 3. It might be in set 2.
Yeah, the trouble is, see, for ages I kept my sets in their packs, and then I decided to just put them all in a pot because I thought I'd use them more. So I threw away the packaging, and I don't think they don't say on them what set they came out of, because obviously they get sold individually now as well. So yeah, so sorry about that. Right, I'm going to dry it with my heat. Hold on a second, Michael, I can't hear you. You've wandered off. Right, go on, ask me a question.
Would you always use archival ink?
I tend to, because when I'm stamping onto it, because I do tend to use a lot of acrylic based products like paints and sprays and things, I tend to just automatically use archival ink. If I'm creating sort of onto backgrounds, if I'm doing stamping to colour, then obviously then I think about what ink I'm using depending on what I'm going to do. But yeah, when I'm doing things like this, it's my preference is archival ink. But I mean, if you were, I think because I always use archival ink, I find it really hard to know what other sort of coloured inks you would use, really, because that's the one I mostly have, apart from obviously Distress, and I wouldn't use them on top of things like this. So I think once that's dry, I'm going to see if we can stamp on it, if I can get it dry enough. I like the back as well, actually. Look how that turned out. See, because that's got the card backing, obviously that then tends to curl up more. It doesn't seem to either really fade particularly when you dry it. I have to say, in terms of like how light, fast or anything these crayons are, I wouldn't like to say. I should imagine, because they're a craft product, if you were putting it on something that you wanted to hang on a wall, I would either perhaps, like we said earlier, seal it, or I would put it behind glass. Because I don't ever worry about stuff like that, because I'm not selling my work or anything like that, obviously, so I don't worry too much. Memento, see, the only time I ever use memento is when I'm going to do alcohol ink colouring, so I'm never sure what its properties are. So I have got one here because I got them all out. So memento quickly dries on most papers. Beautiful canary colours. Place lid when not in use. Should we try memento on it? Just says it's different. Fade resistant dye ink. Let's see, that's it's not quite dry, but I will do it anyway. And I'm going to use the Wednesday Wow. I ordered mine after Bev's Live on Tuesday, I have to admit, because it is one stamp I don't have. No, not one. That makes it sound like I've got every stamp apart from that. I haven't got every stamp. But it's one stamp that I would have thought that I would have bought, but I didn't have it. So I'm going to stamp with my new Roman numerals.
Have you used it yet?
I used it earlier just to practice with. I did stamp it in my journal just to prime it. There we go. Let's have a look. Let's see. I'm going to just put a bit of paper underneath just to protect that mat a little bit. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. And I haven't made a full project. Well, I sort of did make one. So is there anything else before we finish up that anybody would really like me to try or see before we go? Let's see how this looks. Oops. Let's go. Ooh, that looks nice, doesn't it?
I like that.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know how permanent it is, but it looks nice. Let's try then with the archival as well onto this one. Actually, I've just noticed on here where you can actually really see where the two sides are. So where the side where I had put the gesso onto the canvas, it has gone lighter than the side that didn't have the gesso. So, and I think it has on here as well, because you can sort of see the line down the middle. But I'm not sure why that'd be. Maybe because it's actually, I should imagine it's because it's sinking into the canvas, the fabric. So let's use archival on this one. And do the same, because I really like that down the middle of that. I'm going to turn it sideways and do it down here. And there we go, so I like that as well. I think with archival, and I know Bev said this before as well, that I mean, I like using it because of what it can go on and because I use it in journaling. I like the fact you get lots of little ink pads for colours, but you do seem to get sometimes a more faded look because it does, maybe because it's a permanent ink pad, it's slightly drier sometimes. That's what I have to say. With my for black, I do have my big one and I have a re-inker so that I can keep topping it up.
I have a really, really big one.
I do actually even have a giant black archival. So those are the two onto the, whoops, no clue where a camera is, onto the canvas. Yeah, I know, I forget because I turn it around. So let's just have a look at what we've done. So we've gone on to canvas. So we've got them onto canvas, sticky back canvas and stamped on. We've got them onto glossy card. This was onto stamping card and then lifting the colour for a stencil and then edging with the is it as big and big and juicy? It's big. I don't know if yeah, it's quite juicy, I have to say. Onto black card, so you can get, especially if you put gesso down, you can get some nice colours onto the black, using it as a sort of a bit like a gilding wax on top of an embossed piece of card, using the stencil through an embossing for a die cutting machine. And then we've got using them on top of the collage medium. So this is on top of washi tape and on top of tissue, and then lifting the colour so that you can remove parts of the colour to make some images whiter, and then stamping over the top or sealing with the micro distress glaze. Then we have stamping with the distress crayons, and then you can, if you are quick, emboss over the top, and then using the distress crayons separately to make a wash. That was stamping card, and that was watercolour card, just to show that it does you do get more of a spread if you use something like a watercolour card that is made for these sort of water reactive products. So I did that I could, if I put a text on a sentiment on that, I could count that as finished, couldn't I? But I will probably go through these and maybe add some bits and bobs to them, and then they will be finished tags. So I hope that what's that, the crayons on the
black tag looks like it's part of Sam's Planet stamps.
Yeah, that actually you could do. I often think that on black, and I never did, some really nice sort of galaxy type things on those on black, can't you? So you could use that, and also then with your gloss sprays as well to make your little splatters, and then stamp the moons and the planets on that. Yeah, make a really spacey tag with that one. So I hope that was sort of helpful. I hope it encourages those of you who do have distress crayons stashed away in your crafty stash to get them out and have a go with them, because you know they're there to be used. Oh, one other thing you can do, I think I did see somebody say this, but it flicked through, is you can, because they are pigment in a stick, you can chop a bit off, squish it, mix it with your modelling paste, mix it with your gesso, and you've got like a coloured modelling, a texture paste or a coloured paint basically. So you can do that with them. So if nothing else and you think I really don't want to use them, then because I don't like how they work or whatever, then you can always do that and, you know, mix them with your white gesso and make coloured paints, because they're all in the nice distress colours. So thank you very much for watching, and oh, what was I going to say? Don't forget to enter the challenge in the Be Crafty group. You've got till the end of Monday, isn't it? Is Monday the last day of the month? Crikey. Yeah. So yeah, till the end of Monday. So using inkables, dinkables, stencils from Be Crafty in a project and pop it in the album in the group, and you could have the chance to win a £20 stamps voucher. And so then, oh, I don't know if Sam's doing a chatty live tomorrow. I don't know. I won't say it's definite because it is Friday tomorrow. And then Bev again on Tuesday with her Try It Out Tuesday. So thanks a lot, everybody. See you later. Bye.